Hello everyone, welcome to your favorite educational platform, ISIFE EDUBLOG. Now is English time, and your guide on the English language is Martin. Our topic today is pronouns. Pronouns. What are pronouns? Simply put, pronouns are noun substitutes. That is, words used instead of nouns. What's the purpose? They are used to avoid the unnecessary repetition of already established nouns. That's the essence. Sentences will be boring if we continue to repeat a name already mentioned. So we have the pronouns. Now it will be boring to say Meso is my friend. Meso is the most beautiful girl on earth. Meso knows everything she should know. And in fact, I've even mentioned she because there is already too many Meso in the sentence. So to avoid this boredom, we use the pronouns. And so we've got a list of the pronouns here. The pronouns actually belong to the closed class. That is, they are not easily increased in number. Though once in a while, as the language develops, some may be dropped and new ones come up, like I have in my list, themself, which actually is the most recent addition to the pronouns. I will explain why we have themself on the board. Now, here is a list pronouns that we can accommodate here. We have I, me, we, us, I, us, my, myself, ourselves, you, your, yourself, he, him, his, himself, she, her, hers, herself, it, its, itself, they, them, their, theirs, themselves, themself, one, oneself, each, other, many, several, all, both, dozen. Usually as a pronoun, dozen will take s, so usually it reads dozens as a pronoun. Now this is not to say that we've exhausted all pronouns that there is in the English language. Of course, there are the Middle English pronouns such as thou, ye, thee. Those ones are all represented by their substitutes here. So we have, let's look at the usage we've tried to establish. I used Meso is my friend. She is wise and calm. So you see, having established Meso, I've used she as the substitute, so that I don't go on repeating Meso, as that will be boring. Now, what are the kinds of pronouns? Of course, we have a number of them, but what I intend to do is to state each and explain at once, so that each lesson will border on a kind of pronoun or two. So, the first one in our list is the personal pronouns. Personal pronouns. What do we mean here? These are pronouns that refer to the speaker, the addressed person, and the person or thing talked about. The person speaking, the person talked to, and the person or thing talked about are represented in personal pronouns. So, obviously, they are categorized into three. Alright? The first is the first person pronoun. Now, these are pronouns that refer to the speaker or speakers, of course. Sometimes the speech may be done by more than one person depending on the occasion, because even when one person is speaking, the speaker could be talking on behalf of other people. So we have I for the singular, me, my, mine, then we, us, I, and the I's. These are first person pronouns. Now, the speaker, I am a teacher. We are learners of the English language. Alright? Don't worry, we'll talk of the cases so that we put all of this in proper perspective. You know when to use I, when to use me, and all that, because we've got a number of controversies surrounding the use of these pronouns, and I will demystify these controversies as the topic progresses. Now, the second person pronouns refer to the person talked to. The person talked to, the addressed person. And this is you, your, and yours. Why don't we have this kind of arrangement we have here? In this place, we is the plural form of I. Us is the plural form of me. I, the plural form of my. I's, the plural form of mine. But in this case, you is both singular and plural. Your, singular and plural. Yours, singular and plural. That's why we don't have the kind of arrangement we have in the first place. So we'll continue to see the third person pronoun. So the third person pronouns refer to the person or thing talked about. So person or persons, a thing or things talked about. So examples include he, him, his, she, her, hers, it, its, they, them, their, theirs. So these are the third person pronouns. And so we look at I am his brother. In this sentence, you notice that I is the speaker, his brother is another person that is not within the discussion. Alright? The addressed person is different. It's not mentioned here because he's listening to the speaker. So we have three persons here. The first person is the speaker. The second person who is actually being talked to, that is the you, is not here. Then the third person is his brother. So his brother is the person being talked about, while I is the speaker, and you, the addressed person, is the third person. So three persons to a pronoun. That's what we're talking about. Now, let us look at cases of pronouns where I intend to talk more on how these pronouns are used and correctly as well. So to understand the personal pronouns, we talk of cases. The personal pronouns are classified into cases to indicate the functions. So we have the subjunctive or nominative case, we have the objective case, and we have the possessive case. This is the classification. This first table shows the subject pronouns. Subject pronouns are used at the beginning of a clause or a sentence. Alright? The subject pronoun starts the verb it enables the verb, it gets the verb going. Then the object pronouns in the middle receive actions of the verb, or they come after prepositions. They come after verbs or after prepositions. Whether they are receiving the action or not, because we know cases where they don't receive the action. Alright? But whatever happens, now look at what I mean. It is me. It is me. Me did not receive any action. It's just the complement of it here. Alright? So, whether it receives the action or not, the object pronoun comes after the verb or after the preposition. That's how to know it. Please listen to this, because this constitutes a lot of errors in the use of pronouns. Then we have the possessive case. The possessive case is divided into two. One is the possessive adjective and one is the possessive pronoun. Of course, watch our work on adjectives. You see these pronouns here as possessive adjectives. The reason is that these pronouns, normally we list them as pronouns, but they don't actually function as pronouns. I mean, pronouns like my, I, your, his, her, its, they, and whose can serve in both ways, can serve at both adjective and pronoun. His, of course, you can say that his is doubled here as adjective and as pronoun. So usually, for the purpose of convenience, we refer to these ones as pronominal adjectives. Pronominal adjectives. Now, these ones are the typical pronouns. Mine, ours, yours. Let me put them to use so you understand better what I'm talking about. Here, let's go. I have this is my house. Now, in this sentence, I have two pronouns. This is a demonstrative pronoun. This is a possessive pronoun. This is a noun. Now, let's look at it. Is this actually working as a pronoun or as an adjective? That is a question. This is my house. My can't stand on its own without house. Alright? If you remove house, this sentence becomes meaningless. Yes, I mean it because my will not be resting on anything. Therefore, my is more or less an adjective qualifying the noun house, indicating the owner of the house. So, my here is actually a possessive adjective, so to say. Let's just label it ADJ. Now, what happens is I say this house is mine. You see? Before now, this was a typical pronoun. Here is a pronoun. This is an adjective. Now, in this case, this has become an adjective. This house, this now needs house to complete itself. So, this has become an adjective. So that mine becomes a typical pronoun. Because mine means the same as the house. Alright? So, in the first sentence, this was a pronoun, so that my was an adjective qualifying house. In the second sentence, this becomes an adjective qualifying house, so that mine becomes a pronoun representing or substituting this house. That's what we mean. Now let's look at another one. here, let's say he knows a dog. Alright? He knows our dog. I is an adjective qualifying dog. But what if the dog has been established in the sentence? He knows our dog. Okay, now we have established that we are talking about dog. Let us now use substitute dog. So we say eyes is black. Eyes is black. In this sentence, therefore, eyes is a typical pronoun because on its own it has replaced our dog. Alright? Our dog has been substituted with the eyes. So here, eyes is a pronoun, while here, I is an adjective. So that's how the things go. The same thing applies to you, your, and yours. Now, I will wipe this so I will demonstrate your and yours. Now, give him your pen. Give him your pen. Your is an adjective qualifying pen. But this person, whom the him here, okay, the you here does not want to give this him his pen. So let's turn it around. You give him yours. Alright? You give him yours. So yours is now replacing pen because the subject of discussion here is actually pen. So we have replaced pen with yours. So yours is a typical pronoun in this sense. That's how these things are done. Now, let me go to the more problematic area of this topic, particularly the subtopic cases of pronouns. Let's see how this affects us as especially second language users of the English language. Wrote. Don't say you and me. Say you and I. Perhaps that was the beginning of the error we have here. Now, you and I, you and me. These are two English phrases that are correct. There's nothing wrong with any of them, except when one is wrongly used. I hope you're getting the gist. You and I is a correct phrase. You and me is a correct phrase. None of them is wrong. So watch when to use what. That's what is important. Now, let's take this as a test. He gave the ball to Dash. A, you and me. B, you and I. Not for the purpose of pride, but if I've asked this question 100 times in my classes, I've gotten the answer you and I 100 times. No jokes. And I guess you too are wondering why I'm saying this, because you would have also chosen you and I. We've got to do so much to remove this you and I psyche, because it is not all the time that you and I is correct. I have composed a simple song to demonstrate this. I simply say, before the verb, you and I. After the verb, you and me. Before the verb, you and I. After the verb, you and me. Let's see how it works. He gave the ball to you and me. This is correct. Not this. This is wrong. Why? Because you could see that you is here as an object pronoun. Me is also here as an object pronoun. What is the implication? Let us remove one person. He gave the ball to me. Don't you see? He gave the ball to me. Let us remove me from the equation. He gave the ball to you. So, this is what we mean. Me, you, or you and me. Now here. Left alone, you couldn't have said, he gave the ball to I. You see? You couldn't have said that on your own. But when it becomes you and me as a phrase, people shy away because one teacher, one textbook said, do not say you and I, say you and me. Now, let me further open your eyes to what happens here. You and I is equal to we. You and I is equal to we. You and me is equal to us. In other words, how do we sum this? How do we sum this? He gave the ball to us. Please, in case I'm trying to be as slow as can be, but in case this is fast, rewind the video and watch it afresh. You need to understand what happens here. We said, you and I is correct. You and me is also correct. Now let us look at the correctness of you and I. So I have, let me know why. I have you and I know the truth. You and I know the truth. Help me sum this up. Make you and I a single word. You see, it will read, we know the truth. That's what we're talking about. So you see that you and I is correct because it comes before the verb know. In this case, you and me is correct because it comes after the verb gave and more so after the preposition to. Remember, I did say earlier that the object pronouns come after the verb or after the preposition. That's what happens. Let's look at another instance away from you and I, or you and me. Please don't forget, before the verb, you and I. After the verb, you and me. That's what Ekpa said. So, to Dash, did you give the letter? Should it be A to who or B to whom? Now, Ekpa said that the object pronouns come after verbs or preposition. The actual subject of this sentence is you. So, you is here. This you now is the subject, not this you. Therefore, the object is actually whom. So, to whom did you give the letter? That's why you usually see something like to whom it may concern on public papers. To whom it may concern, not to who. Now, can you guess dash she wants? Can you guess dash she wants? You see who or who. Again, you is the subject. So can you guess whom she wants? Remember, the second clause has she as a subject, while the first clause has you as a subject. So to end the first, this whom is actually part of the second clause. So here is whom. Now let's try to turn it around. She wants him. She wants him. She is the person who wants somebody. Now, she wants him. Look at him here and look at whom. They are on the same table, right? She wants him. Now, this does not mean that who is wrong. Who is a pronoun used in asking questions and doing a whole lot of things, more popular than whom. We're looking at the relevance of whom actually, because a lot of people don't seem to have whom in their mouth anymore. So, look at this one. Between Peter and Dash, whom do you consider a better athlete? Between Peter and Dash, alright, whom do you consider a better athlete? Now, should it be Peter and he or Peter and him? That's the question. Between Peter and Dash, he or him? Please, the answer is him. WAEC, JAMB, NECO would pull your legs when they say between you and Dash, because they know most people will say between you and I. That's wrong. It is between you and me. Between you and me. Please, each time you see it, between is a preposition. Between you, even if you wonder, is this not a phrase? Yes, it is a phrase. Between. That's why some people argue that you don't start a sentence with because or with a preposition and all of that. But the native speaker will not care. What happens is, whether you start with a preposition or not, let the sentence be properly constructed. Now, if I choose to say, it is between you and me, it is my choice to say so. If I wish to say between you and me, let this not get out, it is my choice to say so. So none of them is wrong. But let the sentence be between you and me, not between you and I, because the assumption is that whether a verb comes before a preposition or not, every preposition comes after a verb. That is the grammatical analysis. Whether you know it or not, every preposition comes after a verb. So, let's quickly look at order of pronouns so that we round up this part of the lesson. Order of pronouns. Yes, it is important to know that there is an arrangement that is permitted in using the pronouns. An arrangement that makes the pronouns, as we say, acceptable, that is syntactic. Now, when arranging pronouns, you're talking of 2, 3 or more persons being involved in an action. Please, the order is 1, second person, 2, the third person, 3, the first person. So, let me use sentences to illustrate it. The principal appointed you, Ngozi, and me, prefix. The principal appointed you, Ngozi, and me, prefix. Now, you is the second person, Ngozi is the third person, and me is the first person. If you like, you, name, that is the third person, and I or me, the third and the first person. Now, you, he, and I were not there. You, he, and I were not there. This can now match we were not there. You see, you, subject, he, subject, I, subject, summed up as a we. We were not there. Now, the meal was for dash. A, me and you. B, you and I. C, I and you. And D, you and me. Imagine getting to the hall and this faces you as a candidate. Now, you know better. Watching this video, listening to me, you can tell them, Ekpa taught me English. I picked the right answer. What's the right answer here, given all we've said before? The meal was for dash. Me and you, well, this is wrong because this is not Igbo. We are talking of the English language. In Igbo, alright, it is mu na ge. So the speaker comes first. The addressed person comes second. But a lot of Igbo users of the English language adopt that Igbo construction. I tell people this, a lot of times we speak Igbo using English words. Alright? We speak pure Igbo using English words. And you see, if somebody says, Nyem ki moto dati, you wonder, give me ki moto dati, is that English or Igbo? Give me ki moto dati. This person has succeeded in speaking Igbo using English word, because the English man will never say, give me ki moto dati. That is not English. So, we do this all the time. The meal was for me and you will be purely Igbo. So don't do that. In English, the first person comes second. The second person comes first in this kind of arrangement. Alright? So, you and I will be wrong also, because we've said that you and I is subject. Alright? I and you is also a bad arrangement. That is bringing the first person first instead of the first person coming last. So this is also wrong. You see, 3 options are wrong. We are now left with the option D. You and me is correct, because that means us. The meal was for us. Again, that is also a reason for errors. Sometimes, out of ego, we want to speak the English language more than the English people, instead of simply using us. A pastor preaching would prefer to say, God loves you and I, instead of simply saying, God loves us. God loves us. But if it must be God loves and you want to elongate, it has to be God loves you and me. I have engaged in a number of error analysis, and I tell you that most of the time we commit errors using more words than the correct sentence should have been. God loves us, simple and correct. God loves you and I, wrong and longer. Alright? So, God loves you and me. God loves us. The meal was for you and me. The meal was for us. That is it for now. More lessons on pronouns will come in our subsequent videos. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. But above all, subscribe to ISIFE EDUBLOG. We will be glad to see you again. Thank you.